السلام عليكم ورحمة الله وبركاته. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. الحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على سيدنا ونبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. Alhamdulillah, I'm not going to give a lot of biographical details. You can Google his name, dig him up too. It's like I was in a meeting earlier today and someone was mentioning that they're in an important meeting and they realized the person they're sitting next to was an important person. So they put their phone to their left and they type the person's name to try to find out, okay, who am I talking to? Because they seem to be quite important. So you could Google his name too, inshallah, and get all the details you want and much more. But what I wanted to emphasize particularly was that it's very significant in our times that there be people of knowledge and of depth in knowledge who bear something of true prophetic knowledge and guidance and that prophetic inheritance. And that prophetic inheritance is precious. And it's really the meaning of life, right? What the Prophet ﷺ came with. And we have to take very seriously ourselves not to miss out on that in all its dimensions and manifestations, right? Because this is what life is about, right? What life is about is that light that the Messenger of Allah ﷺ came with. And people of knowledge are bearers of that light, and their opportunities in the busyness of our life to be connected with that light, ourselves, our families, our communities. And Shaykh Sulayman is such a scholar. He's a scholar of great depth in the Islamic sciences, and someone that both here at Meem and inshallah in this city and across the UK there'll be bi'idhnillahi ta'ala much benefit from. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala facilitate that benefit. But this is something that we should not take for granted. The same applies to your own resident teachers here, such as Dr. Ridwan and others, that don't take the familiar for granted, because you know this is a tremendous blessing that we have as an ummah of the beloved Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? That over 1400 years after the coming of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, we can say with confidence that what is being transmitted is what the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam came with, as it came. That's an amazing thing. That's an amazing thing, and we should not take that for granted, but rather have a sense of urgency regarding it for ourselves, to ensure that we are benefiting from that, for our families, that they are benefiting from it, and that our own conduct with our families is not a barrier between them and benefiting from these teachings, but also more broadly, right? Sometimes we can become complacent. Well, I go to Dr. Ridwan's class, I attend the monthly halaqah here at Meem, but I've done my part, because we also have a responsibility to call others to that benefit, right? To call others to that benefit. I've known Dr. Ridwan for a little while was my neighbor in Damascus. Although, long story, we never got to be very close at that time, but we've known each other from that time, and I've done over the years many programs with Meem, and I've known Sayyid Faisal now for well over a decade as well, and there's excellent things happening, and really to appreciate that and to call others to that benefit is from calling to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, right? To call others to that benefit, and because there's a lot of people who are really dismayed about the religion, who are disconnected from the religion, or wondering like, what in the world is going on, right? And it's one of the challenges that is faced with even within our own communities. Online we have an answer service, and in the last 5 years, now amongst the most common questions, of the top 6 or 7 questions, are questions that people ask that I'm thinking of leaving Islam. I have doubts about my faith. These kinds of questions. 10 years ago, this would be extremely rare. If a question like that came, and when I was in Amman, something like that, I would have stopped Sidi Mustafa on the street and say, I got this question, it's so disturbing. Now it's like, any day if I open my mailbox, there'll be several questions like that. So it's a very critical situation that we have to know that, that none of you believes until they wish for others of the good that they wish for themselves. Right? This is something that we have to be cognizant is part of our responsibility. Right? So anytime, one of the mashayikh said, our religion gives very practical guidelines. That anything of the benefit that you engage in yourself, just take it, or you benefit from yourself, just make it as part of your routine to share that benefit with others. So the sisters, if you attend a class that you find benefit in, tell other people about that. Because you're not saying, give me some money or something. Like, there's some benefit that you find benefit in, encourage others too. And Allah will place barakah for you in that benefit as well. Right? And so I just wanted to put that as a precursor. Shaykh Sulayman is a scholar, and inshallah his words will be sufficient introduction to who he is, but someone you could genuinely benefit from, whose classes here, that inshallah there's plans to hold classes with him here at Meem, and you'll see that he'll be holding other programs in the city. Strive to connect with that benefit and make it known, right? There's enough confusion being spread in the name of the way of the Prophet ﷺ, that when we know that there is clarity and reliable knowledge and guidance, right, that we really have to take it seriously to spread that benefit, right? That it should become a norm that you guys are like breaking every fire regulation at the Hamim facilities, so that inshallah, they say, what, we have to move to a place that can accommodate 300 people, because people just don't fit anymore, right? Why? Because our attitude, the asl with benefit, is that we want to maximize that benefit, because there's a lot of people really whose lives would be changed if they connected to things like this. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala facilitate that for us and make us of those who have that resolve to call others and to encourage others and to connect others to this light and this mercy and this beauty. And may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bless Shaykh Sulayman and his family in their move to these lands and benefit us and the people of these lands from his teaching.
My stuff in there. Me, I'm just recording.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا وحبيبنا وقدوتنا وشفيعنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين اللهم إنا نسألك أن تجعل ما نقوله ونسمعه حجة لنا ولا علينا يوم الدين اللهم اجعلنا من المستمعين للقول والمتبعين أحسنه إنك ولي ذلك والقادر عليه ثم أما بعد Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'm very, very happy and honored to sit with all of you. And inshallah, I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make that what we are going to say and going to hear beneficial. The most important thing is focus, concentration. It's like 30 minutes. Try to concentrate on what is going to be said, inshallah. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala may change me and you through this, inshallah. Ameen. So when I became a Muslim like 21 years ago, there was always a question that I was asking myself. There was a question that I thought that was very important. And that was more than one question. And one of these questions was, how can I become the most beloved person on earth on the moment I die? So the moment you die, you have the possibility now to prepare yourself for the moment that when you die, that you are that person at that particular moment that is loved by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala more than everybody else. And that should be your goal when you wake up. When you wake up, you have many goals, but they are secondary goals. The first goal that you have is that you use your life and that you try to become the most beloved one on earth at this particular moment. And of course I emphasize at this moment because we know that there are other people that were more beloved to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala than ourselves. So that's the first question. Like when I wake up, I think that we have to look at Islam sometimes through the glasses of an adult person. And like when somebody wakes up today and is sad, but he's a Muslim, then I don't understand him. The reason why, because if you wake up with La ilaha illallah in your heart, Assalamu alaikum. When you wake up with La ilaha illallah in your heart, you actually woke up with the key to paradise. So that was the first question that I asked myself. How can I become the most beloved one on the moment, at the particular moment when I die? Secondly, the second question I was asking myself, how can I feel what I know? How can I put the information that I have into my head? How can I have the connection with my soul and my heart? For example, if there would be a fire in this room, we would all run out, right? We wouldn't hesitate. There would be fire, I wouldn't even think. I see fire, I run. I run away. And if you would ask me, what is your name? Even my name, I would have forgotten it, right? So then I looked at myself and I said, what is wrong with me? If I see a fire, I fear it. But when I hear about Narullah, the fire of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then I might not fear it in the exactly same way. When I hear about paradise, now if I would come to you after class and I give you 5,000 pounds, right? Which I don't have, but let us. So I give you 5,000 pounds. You will be happy, right? You will experience a real happiness in your heart. But when I say paradise, what does it do? That's the question that we should ask ourselves, that I am asking myself. Because if I don't experience this with my ruh, with my soul, but only with my mind, then I'm having a problem. The same thing, like you know paracetamol, we say dafalgan, right? So when I have a headache, I take a paracetamol, and before taking that medicine, I'm already waiting for the cure. I say to my wife, I'm sick. She says, take a paracetamol. I said, yes, that's right. That's the solution to everything. So I take it, and I swallow it, and then I'm waiting for the cure. If it takes about 3 minutes, I say, subhanAllah, it's not working. Because I'm so sure that it should work. So if my yaqeen, my certitude, when I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would have been as strong as my belief in the paracetamol and the working of it, my dua would be accepted. So I started like asking myself these questions. And I saw that there was a very big difference between knowing and becoming. There are two different things. I can know a lot. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when He speaks about the scholars, because from the moment somebody is a scholar, we think that he's pious. But it's not because somebody talks Islam and speaks about Islam that all of a sudden he's pious. Because the first one that is going to be put in hellfire is nobody else than the scholar like in al-Bukhari. That's the first one. When the Messenger of Allah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, they did the Mi'raj with him. How do you say it? Mi'raj? Yeah, the ascent. Like in the Musnad of Imam Ahmed rahmatullahi alayhi, and Imam Ibn Kathir mentioned it under the ayah أَتَأْمُرُونَ النَّاسَ بِالْبِرِّ from Abdullah ibn Abbas radiallahu anhu. They said that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam saw people whose lips were cut off with scissors of hellfire. And the Prophet ﷺ was astonished. It was horrifying. And he said, who are these people? They should have done something really wrong. And he said, هُمْ خُطَبَاءُ أُمَّتِكَ يَقُولُونَ مَا لَا يَفْعَلُونَ وَيَقْرَؤُونَ كِتَابَ اللَّهِ وَلَا يَعْمَلُونَ. They are the speakers of your ummah. And it doesn't speak just about me. It speaks about everybody. Like I'm a khatib for the moment. But it talks about everybody that speaks religion, that talks about religion, that use their Facebook to give advice to everybody. You might give advice day and night. Oh, we should all pray at night. Do you pray at night? We should fast on Monday and Thursday. Do you do that? We should cry for Allah. Do you do that? We should think about the people in Palestine and make dua. Did you put your, how do you call it? Munabbih. Your alarm clock to wake up yourself. So I'm talking about myself, I'm not talking about you, because I'm sure that everything I'm talking about, you found it, I didn't. I just have to be honest. I'm not going to sit here and pretend that I found all these great meanings. But it all starts by acknowledging that we are sick, that there is something wrong, and that we should look at these things and try to rectify them. That's the first thing that I wanted to say. So now, when all hope is gone, hope is gone when you look at yourself. When you start looking at yourself every time, you say, I'm going to stop looking at haram, you keep on doing it. I'm going to stop gossiping, you keep on doing it. I'm going to stop doing this and that, and you keep on failing in that what you want to do. Do you know the greatest reason why we fail doing good things? Because we might say, if I want to do haram, it's so easy. But when I want to do halal, I want to ta'ah, I want to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, all of a sudden it becomes difficult upon me. Why? Because I want to do something good. The ulama said that the verse, إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ, shows us the categories of people. And I want you to listen to these categories and try to categorize yourself. إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ وَإِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. The people in relation to this verse can be divided into 4 categories. The first category are the people of إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ, but they don't have إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. We worship you, but we don't ask him. What's the meaning? Did the ulama say about this? That's the person that says, from tomorrow on, I will fast every Monday. I will always pray in the first row in prayer. And then he does it a week, 2 weeks, and then it leaves him. And he looks at himself and he says, I didn't do any haram. Why did the barakah of my ta'ah go away? Why did it go away? Or he says, I will not look at haram anymore. 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, all of a sudden he finds himself doing it again. Why? Because you were of the people of إِيَّاكَ نَعْبُدُ, but not of the people إِيَّاكَ نَسْتَعِينُ. You thought that you were able to worship him without he helping you. Who are we to say, from this moment on, I'm going to do this and that? Are you going to force, hashak, Allah Jalla wa Ala, to make you enter paradise? Because that is what you're saying. When you say, I'm going to do this and that and that, are you choosing or saying or commanding someone? Nobody. So that's the first category. So if you want a worship to stay strong, and if you want to stay away from haram, then you have to ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. If you don't, you keep on falling. So from the moment that you attribute it to yourself, say, oh alhamdulillah, I'm doing alright, next day it will be gone. And sometimes it goes and you don't know why. You are doing all these good things and you wake up and you have a diqa. You have, your heart feels like narrow. Say, what did I do? Yesterday I went to bed, I did some dhikr, or I read Quran, or I spoke to my wife and fell asleep, and then I woke up with a completely different feeling. So what is going on now? Why do I have this feeling? I didn't do anything wrong. This can be due to many reasons, but it's not for you to despair. One thing is, the question that you should ask yourself is the sins that we have committed. If we didn't do tawbah for them, they will come to get us. The effect of the sin will come to us, it will find us. And most probably on the moments that we don't expect it to come. And that is when the sin hits you back, hits me back. So that is one thing. So when you feel like that, you shouldn't despair. You should actually see it as a reminder that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can make you feel the way He wants. Because the moment you feel that, like some people start praying and they feel good. After 3 weeks, they don't find this beautiful feeling that they had in their hearts. So they pray at night and then they start praying because of the feeling. So Allah Jalla wa Ala al-Qabid takes that feeling away. Because He's testing you. Are you going to continue praying because of the feeling or because of me? So you despair. You think that you're far away from Allah. Your deen is showing you that you are not far away from Allah. But He is looking at you at that particular moment. Are you going to continue doing that what you are doing regardless the feeling that you have? Are you looking for the feeling or are you looking for the one that creates the feeling? So that is another thing. So sometimes we might despair. I'm feeling so bad. It might not always be the sin. It might be a test. The second thing, as I said, is a test. Like Imam Hibatullah al-Barizi, rahmatullah alayhi, was a Shafi'i scholar of the 18th century. Like he said, in every moment that it is possible for you to repent to Allah for a sin you have committed, and you delay it, is a sin on itself. So every sins that we are carrying on us right now, Every moment that it was possible for us to repent for these sins and we didn't do that is a sin. Now, so that is Hibatullah al-Barizi rahmatullah alayhi. So that is another thing. Like do you know that we no longer hear the cries of our own souls? Do you know that our soul is like yelling and crying because it wants to go to its beloved one? But that we, through our ego and through the sins that we are committing, we are actually oppressing ourselves. We are oppressing ourselves. Nobody does more wrong to himself than the one oppressing and refraining his soul to find its eternal happiness. And that is why we keep on despairing, because we are connecting our happiness to creation. And creation, believe me, either it will leave you, either it will change. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't. So to come back, one of the things that should give you hope, that should really give me hope, is the fact that we keep on turning our backs to Allah and that He keeps on dragging us back to Himself. How many times did we delay a prayer? But look at us, we're still praying. How many times did we use these eyes for something that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala hasn't created them for? But nevertheless, you keep on reading Quran. How many times did we gossip about people, but nevertheless the tongue is still used for the dhikr? How many times did we maybe complain about what Allah is doing with us? That is one of the most evil things that we can do, is complaining about what Allah is doing to us. Somebody said, don't gossip about Allah. They said, how can I gossip about Allah? He said, by complaining to creation what the Creator is doing with you. By complaining to creation about what the Creator is doing with you. But we should know that the Creator has bought you. Inna Allah ashtara min al-mu'minina. What did He buy from them? Who knows the ayah? وَأَمْوَالَهُمْ بِأَنَّ لَهُمُ الْجَنَّةِ. Allah bought your soul. That means that nothing that you possess is yours anymore. The moment that you said, La ilaha illallah, you said, Ya Rabbi, do with me whatever you want. Whatever you like. I am completely yours. And that's why Imam Sulami rahmatullah alayhi, he said in his tafsir about this ayah, he said, Allah bought the souls of the mu'mineen so that they will not become rebels against His decree. Because how can you become angry about something which isn't yours? How can we become angry? From one side we say, I am Allah's, inna lillah, we are from Allah, wa inna ilayhi raji'un, and to Him we return. But when He does something with something that is His, we complain and we become angry. So now, to go back to despair. The moment that we look at ourselves, we despair. But when you see that Allah keeps on, subhanAllah, like I said, how many times did we turn our backs, but nevertheless He keeps on dragging us back to the ibadah. And do you know the reason? It is not because of you, it's because of Him. He decided that you would be a tiny element in the universe through which He wants to be worshipped. That is the way that you look at yourself when you pray. When you pray, you're not looking at yourself praying. You're looking at the grace of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that He bestowed upon you, that He chose you to be the element through which He wants to be worshipped. How can you despair after that? How can you despair? When you are seeing this, subhanAllah, some people say, I'm a Muslim because my parents are Muslim. No. You are not a Muslim because your parents are Muslim. How many people come to me and they say, you're better than us because you converted, you chose Islam. Stop that. Nobody's better than another one apart from taqwa. So you are not Muslim because your parents were Muslim. You are Muslim because Allah chose you. Now you can say, Sulayman, you are going too far with this. No, I'm not. What happened to the son of Nuh alayhi salam? Is there a parent better than a prophet? What about the wife of Fir'aun? Is there a husband worse than Fir'aun? But nevertheless, look at his wife. رَبِّ ابْنِ لِي عِنْدَكَ بَيْتًا فِي الْجَنَّةِ. Oh Allah, build a qasr, a palace, a home, a house for me in Jannah. She didn't want house of Fir'aun. She had iman. Was there somebody better as a husband than Nuh and Lut? ضرب الله مثلا للذين كفروا امرأة نوح وامرأة لوط كانتا تحت عبدين من عبادنا صالحين فخانتاهما فلم يغنيا عنهما من الله شيئا وقيل ادخلا النار مع الداخلين. So you see that the wife of Nuh and Lut, they entered hellfire. So who can tell me that you are a Muslim for another reason than the reason that I just told you? It is because Allah loves you. How can you despair? From so many people, Allah chose you. Why? Because of Him. not because of you. So you cannot despair, to be quite frank. It's impossible to despair when you see everything that Allah does with us, for us. So that is why one of the Salihin, what did he say? He said, if you want to hope, look at what comes from Allah to you. If you want to despair, look at yourself and what you keep on giving to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The other thing I would like to say is that if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to educate you, He will make you despair. Because one of the biggest problems of myself, and maybe people who are as ill as I am, is that we want to get to know Allah through the names that we like. We like all the names, but to the names that we don't say like, there's a kalima ukhra. Meem, that we like. So I like to see Allah's name, the giver, manifested in my life. I want to get to know Allah when He gives, when He's generous, when He's patient with me, when He forgives me, when He guides me, when He's latif with me, when He's soft and gentle with me, subtle, and so forth. So I like to see that. But from the moment that He wants to show me that He's the one that takes, that He's the one that breaks, that He's the one that shakes, that He's the one that takes away honor, that He's the one that takes away money, that He's the one that takes away lives, then all of a sudden I do not connect it to knowing Allah. I connect it to the situation. I say when good comes, it's from Allah. And when the bad comes, I complain. If you want to get to know Allah Jalla wa Ala, if I want to get to know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, we have to live with all His names. Otherwise you don't get to know Him. It's impossible. If you want to get to know Allah, He will manifest Himself through the happenings in your life. And then you have to live with it. Because you and I, we claimed that we wanted to get to know Allah. And the closer you get to Him, the more you will be tested. That's the way it goes. The Prophet ﷺ, he said, إِذَا أَحَبَّ اللَّهُ قَوْمًا يُصِبْ مِنْهُمْ. When Allah loves people, when Allah loves a crowd, when Allah loves them, He will test them. They will be afflicted. Do you know why? We are afflicted because the greatest obstacle between us and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that we keep on loving other things more than Allah Jalla wa Ala. And if Allah wants you and He loves you, He does not accept that your heart is deviated away from Him. So if He sees too much love in money, He takes that away. And you are complaining, but that is your way to Allah, because it was blocking you to get to Allah. It might take away your child, your life, your fruits, your everything that you like, and then all of a sudden you find yourself alone. You're alone. Like in the bi'r of Yusuf alayhi salam, like in the water pit of Yusuf alayhi salam, and you say, wow, I find myself completely alone. That is what you wanted. You wanted to be alone to be with Allah. That is what happened now. People say, I want to be alone with Allah. You drive your car, you get lost with your car, all of a sudden car breaks down, no battery on your phone, you're 300 miles away from everything. And then you say, oh, what's going on? Maybe it's just Allah that invited you because you wanted to be alone with Him. And that's why Ibn al-Jawzi rahmatullah alayhi says, when you are alone and you don't use the moment to be with Him, know that He didn't want to be with you. Now, if you are at home and all of a sudden you can't stand it to be alone. You start, who am I going to call? Who am I going to call? It's like an obsession. Who am I going to write? What is going on? If you claim, and if I claim to love Allah, then what is our greatest goal? It is to be alone with the one that we love. It is to be alone with the one that we love. And to love that what He loves. Like the Sha'ir, he said, تعصي الإله وتظهر حبه إن هذا لعمر بديع لو كان حبك صادقا لأطعته إن المحب لمن يحب مطيع. So you do everything what your beloved ones likes. So to come back, we should not despair. We should never despair. And another thing that I saw is, correct me if I'm wrong, that behind every kind of worship, like through the Hajj and after Salah, we see that we end our worship with istighfar, right? So we're doing the istighfar. So I do my prayer. How strange is it? Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. I should imagine myself saying ashukru lillah. Ashukru lillah walhamdulillah. No, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah, astaghfirullah. Why? The same thing when the people come from Arafat. Astaghfirullah. Why? When the Prophet ﷺ had the greatest victory ever within 23 years. فَسَبِّحْ بِحَمْدِ رَبِّكَ وَاسْتَغْفِرُوا. Istighfar once again. When the mu'mineen They went from Mecca to Medina. One of the first verses that was revealed was وَتُوبُوا إِلَى اللَّهِ أَيُّهَا الْمُؤْمِنُونَ. Repent to Allah. Subhanallah. I did nothing but good. And that is why some of the scholars said, how strange is it that worshippers repent to Allah after the worship and that sinners are pleased with their sin. They worship and they end it with what? With istighfar. So why is that? I know I talk a lot, but that's one of the reasons why I came for us to talk. And I know it's not all about hope, but try to imagine that it is. And take from it what you like. Like when you do this istighfar, the ulama say there are many reasons why you do that. But one of the reasons when you do istighfar is because Allah chose you to be amongst those who pray, and you chose yourself to get out of prayer. He chose you, and He made you pray. And you started with Allahu Akbar. If Allah is Akbar for you, why did you come out of your prayer? Because there are other things you have to do. So astaghfirullah ya Rabbi. You called me to pray? Yes. Adhan. You called me to prayer. You made me prostrate. You chose me to be that element through which you want to be worshipped. And I chose to get out. I start with istighfar. Because how dangerous is it that He chooses you and you choose then something else, right? It's dangerous. Second thing is because when you are reading in your prayer, we speak about the real prayer, the prayer of the Salihin, where you forget everything apart from Allah, Jalla wa Ala. And in Bukhari and Muslim, through Uthman radiallahu anhu, that he saw the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wa sallam performing ablution. And then the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam said, من توضأ نحو وضوء هذا ثم صلى ركعتين لا يحدث فيهما نفسه غفر الله له ما تقدم من ذنبه. That's the prayer I'm talking about. He said when you perform the wudu, the ablution, like the Prophet ﷺ, then you pray 2 raka'at and you don't think about anything at that particular moment, Allah will forgive all your sins. I'm talking about that kind of prayer. So when you are in that prayer and you come out of the prayer, you actually saw that you will not be able to thank Allah for the beautiful connection that you had with Him. So you are going to say, Astaghfirullah. I can never ever, thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for that way He gave me. So that is a second reason. And there's a third one, and I would like you to look for that third one, for yourself. Like when you say istighfar after prayer, what are you doing? So now, Allah. When we come back to when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants us, that He will take away everything, or might take away everything away from us. And one of the Salih in our Prophet ﷺ, he said, Dunya sijnul mu'min. The dunya is the prison of the mu'min. How do you understand that? If I would ask you, how do you understand the dunya as a prison? A lot of people will say, yes, because there's haram. I cannot do what I like. I cannot do what I want. I cannot look at this. I cannot talk about that. I cannot go there. I cannot go here. So this is my sijn. But the ulama gave a greater meaning to this hadith. And they said the dunya is sijnul mu'min. What is a sijn? What does a prison do? A prison refrains you and restrains you from going back to the one you love. Right? So all the time in prison you're thinking about one thing. I want to get back to my children. I want to get back to my wife. I want to get back to my beloved ones. And that is what is happening. The dunya is sijn al-mu'min because the only thing that is stopping you from going back to the one you love is dunya. Is dunya. So when you get out of dunya, you get out of the prison. And that's a higher level of seeing this. They said that Ibn Hajar rahmatullahi alayhi was very rich as a scholar at a particular moment. And there was somebody that was carrying zaytun, olives and everything. He was like selling it. And he was from another religion. And he said to Al-Hafid Ibn Hajar, your Prophet ﷺ didn't tell the truth. And he was full of hikmah, Ibn Hajar. He wasn't like, what do you say? This is my Prophet. Who do you think you are? No, because the goal is to get that person to understand that the Prophet ﷺ spoke the truth. So he said, your Prophet said that the dunya is a prison for the believer and a jannah for the disbeliever, and that the akhirah is the jannah for the believer and the sijn for the disbeliever. Look at me, you are a believer, you're a scholar, and you have a fancy life, a fancy house and everything you need, and look at me, I am nothing, look at me. He said, you see, he lied. Then Al-Hafid Ibn Hajar rahmatullahi alayhi, he said, if I would be to enter paradise and I would look back at my life, and I would compare it, then verily, the life I'm having now is a prison. And if you go to hell, and you compare the life you are having now with the life you will have over there, then the life you are living is paradise. So that was the answer of Al-Hafid ibn Hajar rahmatullahi alayhi. So to get back to despair, which I actually wanted to talk about, subhanAllah, but sometimes you speak and you don't know what you're going to say. It all depends. They say the more pure the hearts of the people are that are sitting in front of you, the more you speak about what you don't know. So that's what you all are. So when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants you to have hope in Him, you first have to lose all hope. How many times did you knock doors because you wanted a solution? You kept on knocking on these doors. They didn't open. And you thought it was finished. And then all of a sudden Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala opened the door for you through which you didn't expect the solution to come. And then all of a sudden you find yourself in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's solution. And that is why we need to despair sometimes. And we don't ask for despair. Don't be like these people that say, oh Allah, make me sick. Oh Allah, give me poverty. Oh Allah, let me live in war. And we ask Allah for al-afiyah, of course. So, to come back, if you want to... The last thing I wanted to say, because the time is almost finished. Yeah. I want you to reflect with me upon the name Ash-Shakur, to open the doors of hope, inshallah, and try to stay with me. What is the meaning of Ash-Shakur? That's a question I ask, so it needs a reply. What is the meaning of the name Ash-Shakur? Thankful. Somebody else?
Gratefulness.
Gratefulness. What?
Grateful.
Gratefulness. What else? What is the linguistic meaning of Shakur? One of the questions I always ask in every class, and people might get really tired of it, but it's always who memorizes the 99 names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That's a big question, isn't it? It's your way to paradise, like ahsaha, memorizing the names, understanding them, acting upon them, and supplicating Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through them. This is the meaning of ahsaha. So to get back, what is the meaning of shakur? They say shakur is like we have ad-daba ash-shakir, meaning that it is something, we're not talking about Allah now, we're talking about the language, something that gives you more than you are giving it. So if I have 2 cows, I'm feeding them in the same way, and one gives me more meat than this daba ash-shakir. And she's giving more. And like when we go back to Shakur, and then it is the one that gives you more than you are giving him. Even more than that. He is giving you for something that he gave you. So what do I mean? I come to you and I give you a car, for example. MashaAllah, already 5,000 pounds a car, I'm quite rich. So I give you a car. And then later on, a week after, I give you 1,000 pounds. And you are saying, Sulayman, what are you doing? I'm telling you, I'm giving you 1,000 pounds because you accepted what? The car that I gave you. People will say that I'm crazy, right? I'm rewarding you for something that I gave you. That is what Allah is doing with us. He gives us and then He rewards us. That is a shakur. And that is why when we look at the description of Jannah, the Prophet ﷺ, he said, فِيهَا مَا لَا عَيْنٌ رَأَتْ وَلَا أُذُنٌ سَمِعَتْ وَلَا خَطَرَ عَلَى قَلْبِ بَشَرٍ. It is something that an eye has never seen. You say, okay, I didn't see a lot. Or an ear has never heard. That what the ear hears about is more than that what the eye can see. So if you say the visible world, okay, it's limited. And then you say, even not what you have heard about, oh, that becomes bigger. I might not have seen China, but I might have heard about it. And then you say, okay, so it's still alright. وَلَا خَطَرَ عَلَى قَلْبِ بَشَرٍ. And not even something that you can imagine. Everything that you imagine, that's not Jannah. But in exchange for what is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala giving this? In exchange for what? It is in exchange for 5 prayers a day. That means, let us say that you pray very quickly, 7 times 5, 35 minutes, for giving 2.5% of that. 20 minutes for Hanafis. Yeah, but you forgot the witr prayer. Okay. So 20 minutes for Hanafis and Malikis, how much will we do that? Okay. So, okay.
35 minutes for wudu.
Yes.
Sorry, there's
With the rubbing.
Just
Yeah. So, I forgot. Yes. So for 20 minutes, 2.5% a year, one journey, Hajj, and what is left? And one working period in your life. And now that's the last thing I want to say about that, and then you will understand why I'm mentioning it. If I have to just work for an employee, he wants me to work about 40 hours a week, then going to work and coming back, let's say 3 hours, it's 43 hours a week. Then, so I'm always in a traffic jam. Then I have to pay a lot of taxes, and I have 1 month off. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He asks you to do the 5 prayers, 20 minutes, to be in a traffic jam once in your life, in Hajj. 1 traffic jam is all He's asking. 2.5%, not 30, not 40%. And He gives you 1 month to work and 11 months off. 1 month Ramadan. And in exchange for that, He is giving you that what no eye has seen, no ear has heard, or what a human being was never able to imagine. How can we then, if we know that Allah gives that in exchange for this, ash-shakur subhanahu wa ta'ala, despair? It's impossible. We cannot despair. Despairing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says, لا تقنطوا من رحمة الله. You are not allowed to despair of the rahmah for Allah. This doesn't make us sinners, because Ibn al-Jawzi, this is really the last thing. Ibn al-Jawzi rahmatullah alayhi in Bustan al-Wa'idhin, he said, if there would be a voice calling from the sky, and it's impossible, right? It will not happen, but he's just, imagining it. If a voice from the sky would say, "O sinners, sin as much as you like. There is no nar. There is no hellfire, nothing. Sin as much as you like. And O worshippers, worship Him as much as you like. There's no Jannah." Then those who love Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala would say, "Oh Allah, I worship you because of who you are and not because of what you give. I worship you because of who you are, that's sufficient. But what if you worship Him because of who He is, and on top of that He's giving you what you want?" Subhanallah. So the hope in Allah is big, and we worship Him not because we want paradise, because we want Him. And that's why Al-Ghazali rahmatullah, he said, don't speak too much with the believers about paradise, because they found something more beautiful than paradise. They found the creator of paradise. And next to the creator, not next literally, next to the creator, every beauty vanishes. So the people that say, there are 3 categories of people, like Ibn Ajiba said in Iqad al-Himam. He said, some people worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala because they want the barakah in dunya, and they want to enjoy in paradise. When they think about paradise, drinking wine, drinking honey, living in castles of gold and silver and cement from misk, and it's nice. So that's the first category, and there's nothing wrong with that. The second category says, "La, Allah created Jannah here. I'm just, I don't want to establish here. I just want to move on and go to Jannah to enjoy myself." The barakah is something that comes, but it's not intended. And then you have the third category, and they say, "I want Jannah." Not because of Jannah, but because it's a door that brings me closer to my Creator. So the one that says, "I want to worship Allah, to have Jannah," it's like, A'udhu Billah, he made Allah the means and Jannah the goal. But when you say, "I want Jannah because I want to get closer to Allah," then you made Jannah the means and Allah the goal. And you cannot compare them, right? It's impossible. And that is why we only have one chance to show Allah how much we want Him. One opportunity. In Jannah you cannot do that anymore, it's finished. You cannot show Him. Here you can show how much you love Him. And there He shows you how much He loves you. So you here, you are actually preparing for that. You have one opportunity, 60 years, to show Allah how much you love Him. How much you want Him. 60 years is nothing, right? And Abdullah ibn Mas'ud, when he died, they said, why do you cry? Why are you crying? He said, "I'm not crying because I'm leaving dunya." He said, "I'm crying because I'm going to a place where I cannot pray at night or fast during the day. He cried because that was the way to show his love. There it's finished. So how much do you want to show him that you love him? To become that person at the end that is the most beloved one in the whole universe, the moment that he dies. So to cut it short, if we learn something from this, it's not because somebody speaks about religion that it makes him better. It's the one that practices that what has been said that is better. The second thing is, like, you're not a Muslim because of your parents, you're a Muslim because Allah chose you. Third thing, when you pray, don't look at it as you doing it for Allah, but as Allah choosing you to be an element through which He wants to be worshipped. So that. Then the other thing that we mentioned as well is, like, if you want to despair, then look at yourself. If you want to hope, look at Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The other thing we said is, if you want to get closer to Allah, He will take away everything that is an obstacle between you and Allah. So then don't complain, but just know that He's helping you to get to know Him better. Then another thing we said is, Shakur is the one that gives you more than you deserve, or even more than that. He's the one that gives you presents for a present that He already gave you. Then we spoke about istighfar after prayer, keep that in mind as well. And so that are, in short, the points that we should try to, and also make Allah your goal, not paradise. Paradise is creation. We were created for the Creator. It's just a house that allows you to be in worship all the time. And that worship, the greatest worship in paradise, is looking at your Lord. والحمد لله رب العالمين وصلى الله وسلم على سيدنا وحبيبنا وقرتنا وشفيعنا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. اللهم إنا نسألك يا الله يا الله يا الله لأنك أنت الله لا تكلنا إلى أنفسنا طرفة عين. اللهم اجعل بقاءنا في هذه الدنيا صوما واللقاء معكم عيدا. اللهم إنا نسألك أن تجعل محمدا صلى الله عليه وسلم أحب إلينا من أنفسنا وأزواجنا وأولادنا. اللهم إنا نتوب إليك من كل ذنب جليه وخفيه. اللهم إنا نسألك يا الله أن تجعل ما نقوله ونسمعه حجة لنا ولا علينا. اللهم حقق فينا ما قلنا وحقق فينا ما سمعنا. اللهم إنا نسألك أن تحفظ مشايخنا وكل من علمنا حرفا وأزواجنا وأولادنا وجميع المسلمين. لا إله إلا أنت سبحانك إني كنت من الظالمين. وآخر دعوانا الحمد لله رب العالمين.